And we are one step closer. It'll all come to a head.
Final four.
February 9th.
Final 8.
New Orleans. We got 8 of them.
Yeah,
4 each side. The 4 on the AFC side, the same as a season ago. The matchup's different. The NFC, some new blood there in the Washington Commanders. LA's been there before. Philly and the Lions rounding out that NFC offering as we are set for divisional round action in the NFL. Back in studio, Joe Musso alongside the 2-time Super Bowl champ, Bryant McFadden, who knows what it is to make it all the way through that bracket. Not once, but twice. Mac, let's go through these games, and let's go through them in order here. Texans and Chiefs will lead us off Saturday at 4:30. Finally, we will see the Chiefs. And finally, for what feels like the first time in 2 months, we'll see Patrick Mahomes and some of those starters. They've been on ice since about Christmas. Well rested. Patrick Mahomes welcomes a new child into the world recently here as well. A lot going on there, and the Texans in a place maybe we didn't expect them to be. How does Houston offset all that experience that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have in these types of moments?
You talk about being on ice. Remember, this is a rematch. The first time they played against the Chiefs, Pat Mahomes was icing his ankle because he was dealing with an ailment. Now he's healthier. But if you look at what he did that ball game, he got things going with his legs. And of course, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs currently compared to what we saw when they matched up weeks ago. I believe this offense is better suited. They have more balance. They didn't have Hollywood Brown the first meeting. Hollywood Brown is back. He's another playmaker for their offense, not to mention having a healthier quarterback at their disposal. When you look at what we witnessed with the Houston Texans, an outstanding performance by their defense, led by the edge rushers Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. They harassed Justin Herbert. If I'm not mistaken, they just sacked him again, and he just threw another interception. Can they have the same success against Pat Mahomes? Because to what we've seen from their team, the expectations of the offense haven't really been met, but they have thrived off the success of their defense. Can the defense do what they did against the Chargers to keep their offense afloat in Arrowhead? That is the matchup that I'm watching. But until you beat the man, you cannot become the man. It's going to be a tall task, especially when you look at how well the Kansas City Chiefs looked when all of their starters were in place.
So that is a vote of confidence for the Chiefs moving on to their 7th consecutive AFC title game. Jaws on the floor. You just got to come to understand what it is, and that's what it is. You give Andy Reid an extra week to prepare for a game, and that's usually a known outcome.
One of the best to ever do it.
Our second game on Saturday, Commanders and Lions. One we expected to be there, one that is ahead of schedule. Jaden Daniels not fazed by anything. I know cool, calm, collected. But that building, that team, the destiny they feel that they are in search of. Is this an upset, or is this the Lions kind of putting their foot down and finally putting an end to that season?
You know what? When you look at teams coming off of a bye and playoff moments, you might see a slow start. But the thing I love about the Lions, they have so many different ways of fighting you. They have different styles. They can either do damage running the football, or they can do damage taking shots down the football field, or just utilizing the play action side of things offensively. With that being said, I think they get off to the right on the right foot, start extremely fast, and make sure they put pressure on the young quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Playing in Detroit seems to be a very, very difficult task for opposing teams, especially when you look at that crowd noise back in their defense, a very, very aggressive style of attacking in terms of what they do defensively. So give me the Detroit Lions making Motown very, very difficult for the Commanders to listen to in terms of their style of play and what they do for 4 quarters.
I know you saw Jaden Daniels when that kick went off the upright and in. He was just like, yeah, let's go do the media. Let's go talk to some folks. He was very ho-hum about the whole thing. At what point does that start working against you in some ways? Like, does he need to really be, let's say, the lion tamer in this scenario? Does he need to take this thing on full-fledged, or continue to be that cool character and just really almost, I don't want to say unaware of the moment, because I know he's fully locked into it, but the way he engages with it is interesting.
Continue to be who you've been, because that's who his character is. That's in his DNA. Don't do anything that you don't usually do. That's not a part of your football character. So me personally, I love that he's even killed. The moment is never too high for him. He never gets too low. He's right where he needs to be, because clearly that has been successful for him throughout his entire football career, leading up to his time being a starting quarterback for the Commanders.
The cool character will remain to be who he is. Dan Campbell, after that win against Minnesota Week 18, came into that locker room, said, looks like you remember who you are.
Yes.
We'll see if there were a couple expletives in there that I took out for our viewing public here. Sunday, 3 Eastern time. We will go Rams and we will go Eagles. Matchup that we saw again in Week 12 with Saquon running rough shot for 255. I don't know if he's got that in him once again, but who's to say here. Is the run game where things start for the Eagles in this game once again?
Oh, no question. No question. Yes, you have a franchise quarterback in Jalen Hurts. You have 2 wide receiver ones in Smitty and A.J. Brown. But their offense is all about the running game. When you look at the guy that Saquon Barkley has been for their offense, you have to get him going. You have to give him his touches, his opportunities, because he is the type of playmaker that can easily break one off and take it to the house. Just ask the Rams in the first meeting, 2 splash plays by Saquon Barkley. But in this matchup, the team they're going against in the Los Angeles Rams, they've been dealing with a lot of adversities off the football field, but I believe that has brought them together to be a close-knit group. They're playing with an abundance of confidence. Not to mention, I've said this time and time again, I believe Sean McVay is the best coach in the NFC, and this will be our first upset of this playoff weekend.
Wow.
I'm calling for the Rams to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I understand you might say, what are you drinking? Well, if you know anything about old B-Mac, I don't drink any of the devil's nectar. I love water. And I'm telling you this with a sober mind. I believe Sean McVay will give the opportunities that is needed to his quarterback. He will have his guys well prepared, and the game plan that will be in place will be an outstanding game plan to be able to do what is needed to be done, to be able to come out of Philly with a victory.
That'll set us up for an NFC title game between the Lions and the Rams. We'll get there, but before that, Ravens and the Bills. It's the big one. It's CBS. It's the last game of the divisional round, and it's going to be billed as quarterback versus quarterback, even the star running backs that flank them. But you know, in games like these, there's always a player that makes a play. Who's the X factor in your eyes in that matchup?
Well, I look at either defense, because that is the group that we're kind of forgetting about, because the quarterbacks have been so good, the running backs have been so good. So which player on the defensive side is going to come up and live up to the billing? And I look at Matt Milano. Since he's returned to the Buffalo Bills, their defense from all 3 levels, they've been a better unit. They tackle well. They don't allow any big-time splash plays, and it's all because they have their captain back in the lineup in Matt Milano. When you look at the Baltimore Ravens, I have 2 guys, Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton. When you look at what they've done with Kyle, not allowing him to be around the box as much as we witnessed earlier in the year, but moving him in the post, they've done a great job in being able to improve their coverage, mostly because of Kyle Hamilton being in the back end. And Roquan is a disruptor in terms of what he does, and he's the quarterback for their offense. So we can highlight the quarterback play deserving, but we cannot forget about the defense. And with that being said, I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens to come out of Buffalo with a win. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, their style of play is a style that can pose issues for the Buffalo Bills and their downhill running. Remember what they did the first meeting. They didn't try to go east and west. They ran the ball north and south. And when you get Derrick Henry rolling, it's hard to stop that snowball that continues to get bigger and bigger as it comes downhill. And I do believe they will not turn their back on the running game like they did in postseason play a year ago.
That's just it. Todd Monken in that wild card round said, you want to see the run game? You're going to see the run game. He showed us it and likely will continue to do so. So you have them going to the AFC title game where they will take on the Chiefs. We'll talk that one for a second. NFC, Lions and Rams. We don't have to go too deep on this one as we now operate in the hypothetical. That's your NFC title game. Who wins it?
Rams. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just joking. It's the Lions. It's the Lions. And the thing about this game, you know how I said earlier, you know, styles makes fights. And with the Detroit Lions, they have many different styles in how they fight. And it can be an issue for either team, any team they go against. So I think when you look at their balance on the offensive side and being able to be effective in 3 different ways, it will be a tall task for the Los Angeles Rams. And then defensively, when you look at what Aaron Glenn has done, when you find a way to put pressure on Matthew Stafford, when you find a way to manipulate what he sees in the back end with your disguise concepts, there lies the opportunity to be successful against Matthew Stafford. Aaron Glenn has done a masterful job against experienced quarterbacks manipulating what they see in the back end while bringing pressure also. I believe those elements will help him in being able to have success against Matthew Stafford to ultimately be able to win the NFC Championship game and stamp their ticket to a place he once lived and coached in New Orleans.
And it will also be one step further than they were a year ago. That heartbreak against the San Francisco 49ers.
Just kick a few field goals, Coach.
Dan Campbell said after it, he said, this is heartbreak. We know what it takes to get here now, and it's going to be a different group trying to do it next year. Yeah. They're again on that doorstep of doing it again. AFC, Ravens, Chiefs, new or old, who represents the AFC?
I don't know if you guys will ever have the Kansas City fatigue, Pat Mahomes fatigue, but it happens again. Unfortunately, in Arrowhead.
The way you say
yes, I don't know how our viewers feel.
It's
but
greatness.
It is greatness, but at some point in time, somebody got to find a way to beat them. It won't happen this year. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Baltimore Ravens, and here's why. Number one, you have to go to Arrowhead. It's a very, very difficult place, right? They've shown the ability to win on the road, but going to Arrowhead is a very, very difficult place. When you look at Pat Mahomes, his overall playoff career record, 15-3. The quarterbacks that have beaten him in those 3 losses, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow. The last time I checked, either quarterback will not be in this ball game. Give me Kansas City advancing to New Orleans, getting ready for some beignets. Ooh, I love beignets.
Okay, you will have Tom Brady at some point here. Final scene of the season in that Super Bowl. I don't know if he could put his foot down and...
I did it. I figured it out.
You did?
I figured out the black.
You got a winner?
Yeah, you want a winner right now?
Let me hear the winner. We're looking at the bracket. We're not going to tease them like that.
Kansas City.
Kansas City again. A third straight, the first team in NFL history to do it. Why stop now? Bryant McFadden, thank you as always. Let's take a look now at those odds to win the Super Bowl. Mac, it's great work. It's great work. And you only disagree with the odds makers in one place. The Lions, the odds-on favorite to win it. You do have the matchup, 1 versus 1.
So you got some juice in Kansas City. A little bit of juice, plus 340.
You're not going to find it any shorter. They win this one, they keep moving forward, they show you why, and you could be moving ever closer to 3 in a row for the Big Red Machine.